Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Two Half Squads. I'm Jeff,
I'm Dave
and
Kleinschmidt.
we have a special guest with us today, all the way from somewhere, David Pentland. Say hi, David.
Hi, everybody. Yep, great to be on the show. Thanks very much.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
Very glad to have you.
Pleasure, an honor
It's an
to
hon-
have you.
Honor to be
You're-
on.
You're an actual famous person.
Don't know about that.
As opposed
Thanks
to
anyway.
infamous, but
Yeah.
so Dave Kleinschmidt, you're the one that set this up. Do you and David go way back, or how'd this happen?
Of course, that's just because I always love to do the box art reviews on our program.
Yes.
And have always admired and emulated the fantastic artists of Advanced Squad Leader. And of course, they're artists in their own right. And so we're just thrilled to have David Pentland with us today. And it's our first time meeting, although we've been emailing over time.
Yeah.
So
David, where are you? You're overseas
in
somewhere.
Northern Ireland, yeah. So up on the coast, outside Belfast, about 20 minutes outside Belfast. So we're having great weather here for the first time in a long time. So down on the beach for a walk in the mornings, and then back to work at the iPad at the minute mostly. Yeah, but yeah, it's good. It's a nice place to be. So it is.
Yeah, it sounds nice, and we'd love. Thank you for the offer. We'd love to come.
No problem, anytime. Bring your own helicopter. Yeah.
And are you from that
Everybody
area?
welcome.
Are you from that area originally, or have you moved around a lot?
Yeah, originally Belfast, and then moved down to Bangor. It's sort of like a seaside town, you know. And I moved down here when I was at school, and very very nice lifestyle, and I've stayed here ever since, really. So good, a lot of friends here, and did my war game down here. So and there's a war game club in Belfast as well. So that's always been a big part of my life, as well as the painting. So that's sort of tied together whenever I started doing the box art. It was quite brilliant. I'm really surprised that I was able to get to do that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of the guys I saw doing box art were all heroes of mine, you know. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, who were your heroes back in the day?
Well, back in the day, it would have been, because I would have done wargaming as a kid, and so you would have been buying model figures, and I went into doing model making as well. So I was doing 1/35th scale. So the heroes would have been people like Ron Volstad and all the Japanese guys that did Tamiya, and you've got on your wall Frazetta. So there was an overlap there with science fiction art as well, Roger Dean and people like that. So it was quite a wide sort of, but probably a common sort of like a range of people I would have admired, you know. Yeah, so it's like this is doing military stuff was like a sort of dream of mine, and it was quite surprising that it took off. Yeah.
And what came first, gaming or art?
Yeah, gaming. I think my dad had me make not at gaming, I suppose. First of all, it was model making. So first thing was probably at about the age of 5 or 6, I was doing some model aircraft airfix. So my dad got me to do a Focke-Wulf 190, and I told my teacher that I made one of these, and she was horrified, thought I was cursing. So ever since I called it an FW 190 after that for a long time. And then from there we went on to model figures. So my brother and I, he's younger, but the two of us were doing like airfix war game figures, and would play games that way. And then a couple of friends from school would join in, and gradually built up from there. And there was a war game club in Belfast we used to go to. And yeah, I mean, so then at the same time I was doing art at school, and my dad was a bit of an artist. He taught us a lot, and we'd do a lot of sort of just anything really, birds, science fiction, whatever. And then at school, I didn't go on the art, but I was always interested in the sort of military stuff, you know. So there was that overlap between the two subjects, I think, and history. It all sort of fused together into what I really enjoyed doing, you know. So, but as I say, I was inspired by a lot of the guys there. The airfix artist actually as well was amazing. So I used to love looking at all the box covers and thinking, well, I did do that, you know. So,
yeah. Yeah, and those are the Airfix, plastic figures.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You're talking
yeah.
about.
72nd
Yep.
scale. Yeah.
Yeah,
But we moved
they had
moved on.
those.
Yeah, yeah. We
Yeah,
moved on from plastic figures to metal figures to board games. I think my brother and I bought SPI. First one we got was Ardennes Offensive and Sinai, and then we started subscribing to the magazine, and that blew our minds. Wow, these fantastic games every so often.
yeah,
So we've
yep.
got a big collection of games. We never get playing half the time, but it's changing. We're getting a bit of time to play now, so it's good. Yeah. So
Yeah, I do remember the illustrations on those Airfix boxes. They were something that just simple, but it just fired my imagination too.
yeah,
And yeah, it was great stuff. So, and then you said now your dad taught you most. You didn't do any
yeah.
art school, or did you?
Well, I did art at school. We had we do first and second. We do first the sixth form, and then after that you would go to university or something like that. But actually, I was slated to go to art college, and then we changed my mind at the last minute because there was a bit of a slump, and I was going to do graphic design, and there was a bit of a slump at the time, and I was advised by one of the tutors in the college that maybe better to go and get a trade. So actually, I went off and did quantity surveying, which is a bit like sort of accountancy for architects, and it was really boring, and I hated it. And as soon as I could get out of it, I mean, I think I did about 3 or 4 years of college, and then about 3 or 4 years working, and just wasn't my thing. So I went into advertising. I started doing art for advertising, illustration, and did a good few years at that. And it's a really good way of learning. To do the deadlines and sort of you have to do work which you don't always enjoy, but you have to find a way to do it. So it would have been like storyboards and adverts, sort of mock-ups and things like that. It's a good training ground, and so that's where I learned I suppose a lot of my trade, and then I went out into illustration for military illustration after that. I eventually decided, right, well, enough of this. I want to do something I enjoy doing. So that was that. So it was initially aircraft, and then one of the guy who was doing the prints, he invited me to do prints and Cranston Fine Arts, and he said yes, they would do tanks. And so he had a stable of artists that were doing various military art, and I started doing the tanks, and that was, I don't know why I never thought of it before, but it was really something I enjoyed. So I've stuck with it, and then you do other odd stuff.
So for that kind of stuff, what do you use for the basis of what you're doing? I mean, do you go out and look at a tank or take a photo and work from that, or how's
yeah,
how's
I mean,
that
a lot of it was this. Well, initially when I was doing it, it would have been pre-internet, so it would have been a case of photographs, and then also because it was making models, it could actually make a model of the subject as well, or I had the kit. It gives you a lot of the technical detail that you can't actually find that easily, even if you're walking around the tank. Inevitably you get home and find the photograph you want, it's not there. What happens at that bit? So yeah, model making actually came in quite good to help there. And then later on with the internet, there's a lot of information. I mean, a big collection of books also helped. I had to pull the library together. So nowadays, most of the stuff's online, except when you're looking for a detail, it's never there when you want it. And a week after you finish the actual painting, then there's it there. You find the magazine or the book that you were looking for all that time, and it turns up. So it's Murphy's Law, But most of the stuff would have been done like that, or occasionally you'd be lucky enough to get the actual vehicle, and you could study it as well. We wouldn't have the range of vehicles you would have in the States, available. I think you've probably got a massive range of museums about. I mean, for me to get the tank museum, it's over in England, and it is brilliant. It's fantastic, but you couldn't be there all the time. So yeah, it's usually books and magazines and whatever. Yeah.
And then the situations that you put the vehicles in, do you kind of have one of those aha moments, where you conceive it, or is it like I am, like sometimes when I was painting on canvases and not just doing miniatures, that blank canvas is just staring at you,
Yeah.
and you're just
Yeah,
sitting there
yeah, I
like,
know.
okay, I have to do something now.
No, and that is terrifying. Actually, if you've got a blank canvas, it's most people don't realize that's not really how you should start. So what you want to do is sketches or something like that, or just rough doodles or whatever. And so yeah, I would probably. I think you usually get inspiration from other things. You might be looking at, a photograph or at somebody else's artwork. Maybe it's something totally unrelated, but you just see, oh yeah, it's quite nice. That balance, you have the thing sitting to the right and figures to the left. And usually it's a case of, messing about with various layouts until you've got something that looks quite interesting. And also, if you're doing, like, for instance, the likes of the ASL work, you're usually working on a certain layout. So you've got to come up with something different for, you can't do the same, sort of layout each time. You can't have your tank on the right and your figure on the left or something like that. So you're always constantly trying to come up with something slightly different or something dramatically different. So, you get inspiration from, maybe in TV, you're watching a film and you go, oh, that looks good. You've got somebody coming on from the right and, bit of light in the center. So, so these sort of things give you a spark, and then you work up. So I normally work up sketches, pretty well, finished line sketches, in tone. And then when all that's done, and usually anyway, you're working for a client, so you normally do that and maybe even go to a color sketch. And when the client's happy, they can sort of see what they're going to get in the finished product. Then you can go to the canvas. So yeah, when you start the canvas, you're not really going to a blank one. It's a matter of tracing out what you've got, to work to. So I think it's a big problem for people, learning to paint or just being faced with the horror of what do you do now, So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even the blank piece of paper then instead of the canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is. So yeah, you've usually got, you work. I know I would have worked on a couple of things at the same time. Usually I wouldn't have worked on one just and then started another one. I'd usually have 3 or 4 different subjects on the go. And for instance, at the minute I've got about 6 aircraft images, and I had to get 2 done. But the rest of them are all laid out. The black and whites are all laid out, and then I've got 2 or 3 color ones to finish off, and I've finished off a couple of the actual finished artwork. So yeah, sort of, you're not better to sort of move from one thing to another if you get stuck. So if you get stuck on a detail, I'll leave it and go to something else. And you're not tearing your hair out. That's just the way I do it. Other people do it differently. Yeah. So.
But there is a point where you actually put your brush on canvas and do the work there. So your art is paint.
Yeah.
Is that really your medium for the final work?
Yeah, depends. I mean, certainly for a lot of the ASL ones, and then the early days before I had an iPad, it was always on a canvas or on board. So I would work in acrylics or oils, and also in gouache. So depending on what the style I wanted, But ultimately, you'd be sitting there and you'd be working on an easel. Nowadays, more of the work actually now is probably done on the iPad, because it gives you that much more freedom to make corrections and changes, as you go. And because of the quality now, you can get the detail and the scale, the size of that there now, But certainly, if somebody wants an original, for their wall, then it'll be a canvas or on board. And if it's just a commercial job, then not just commercial, but if it's a commercial job where they're not going to pay you for the canvas, then and they just want the full rights to it. That's the other issue. Sometimes people want the full rights to the image, and you'll make a price for that. But it means then that there's really no point in having the original if they don't want it, And maybe I could sell it on later. But sometimes if it's a subject that not a lot of people would be interested in, because it's specific to the client, then there's no point there. But if it was something like a lot of the ones I did for all the ASL ones and a lot of ones for Plastic Soldier Company and things like that, they're quite nice sort of images that people might want for their wall. So it's worthwhile doing an original from my point of view, And it's hard to correct anything that goes wrong. That's the only thing. It is. It's so much easier on digital, you know.
Yeah. Was it hard to learn the digital? Now, I'm way behind. People laugh like that I actually do a podcast and I do all this tech stuff. But as far as the arts go, I'm going to go get a canvas I'm working on in a few moments, and I'm going to grab your book, which I should have had
We'll
out here.
We'll do a crit, yeah.
Yeah, and your book, but working on the iPad, then you're just using a stylus and stuff, and so it's literally just like drawing, right? Like I've done simple programs, but it must be really complicated, or.
Well, I mean, I think you need to be able to paint if you want to do an oil painting on an iPad or a tablet. I think you need to be able to paint, or you need to be able to draw if you want to do a drawing on it. But the actual technique is much the same as if you're actually using physical paint, you know, because they have. I mean, although you're using a stylus, it actually can be a paintbrush, or it could be a very big wide paintbrush, or it could be an oil brush.
Change the sizes.
You can change it to anything, you know. So it's just like actually physically doing a painting.
Can you select like smoke and then like just kind of push it across?
Another thing too is that you can't get with actual ordinary painting or traditional painting is you can actually have as you say, you can have like a smoked stamp. It's like a stamp. And you can use that, or I mean, some people in the background, you'll see in some digital art, you'll have figures in the background, but those figures aren't actually hand drawn in. It's a brush and it's like a stamp that they put on it, and you can enlarge the figure, I don't really do that. So I still actually work just as I would a painting, and everything's done in by hand, but there are shortcuts, and certainly there's a lot of artists use them. And if you've got used to doing it that way, then it's great. It's a great shortcut. And it's a great help. So, but you can do it just the way you would do an ordinary painting or drawing. Yeah. In fact, the last set of drawings I did for Plastic Soldier Company, they did a series of rule books called For Battleground. I don't know if you've seen them. It's a figure rule set, and so they're great games. So it is, but they bring out like a rule book on, say, Operation Torch, or there was one on the Pacific, the first part one, and they've got a lot of photographs in it of vehicles, model figures and so forth. But I did a series of pencil drawings for them, and the first few books I did the pencil drawings in pencil. And then the latter one, they actually did it on the iPad and digitally, and you can't tell the difference, because it's just like doing an actual drawing. So it is, and so I mean, it is phenomenal, But yeah, I mean, I think the last year before this, the last one I did was canvas, so it was it's sort of a mix, yeah.
When you do a job for a company like that, though, they have. Tell me how this works, because I'll think of something like Warhammer, which has a very particular style to it.
Yeah.
All their stuff has a very particular style to it. And so some company comes to you and wants you to do stuff. Do you have to kind of match in with their style, or do you get to bring your own style into it? Because
I think I expect there's some guys that are probably who are happy to they can go to that style. No, I would normally be, I'd keep them my own style, and people would buy it in. They would ask me to do something with that, using that style, or I would, supply. I mean, I don't do just one style. So, I mean, I would say, right, you can have it like this or that, and they would say, yes, we like that style, use that. So, Warhammer is a funny one, because I think it is very much what's the word? It's sort of set in stone a lot, isn't it? I mean, it's very particular. I haven't done any work for them.
Yeah, but, I mean, a lot of this stuff seems like they work from a color palette, and I don't know anything about art, but you can look at something, you go, oh, that goes with that game, or this goes with that. Mm-hmm. So I never could figure out how they do that, because they got so much of it. You look at these Dungeons and Dragons. Every time Dungeons and Dragons publishes a new version every year, they've got all new books with all new art. I'm thinking, how are they churning out all this stuff? They must have people that
Well, I think they actually. I mean, I think it's like Magic the Gathering, for instance, or they would have like several artists, more than that, tons of artists worldwide, and they would just sort of say, right, we'll get him to do 20, get her to do 20, and they're happy to have different artists' work shown. It's like a showcase. In fact, I mean, there's a group in Iceland called Cards, and they do a digital game. So it's a digital sort of card game, but they've actually used a lot of art from lots of different military artists. So it's set World War II, and each of the cards has got a bit of artwork on it. So they've actually commissioned from lots of different famous. You'll know Ron Grinstead and people like a lot of military aircraft and tanks and whatnot, and ships and so forth. So they'll just buy it in the artist that they like. But yes, you're right. The other ones like probably Warhammer probably have their own in-house artists that they would use.
I think.
Okay. Yeah.
So where have you got your Dave?
Well, I couldn't find the book, which is, I don't know. I think I must have taken it upstairs with my other collection.
He sold it already.
Yeah. Oh no, I have it. Because I just had it. I think I took it upstairs. But
check the bathroom.
For my paintings, I have. Well, we'll be able to link it up. I'll post a picture of me with it later.
With the picture.
This is my painting of Gollum.
Oh yeah.
It's unfinished, and this is supposed to be rocks behind him, and then this is a cloudy sky. This is very amateurish. I'm going to overpaint.
No.
But what I used was my son as a model.
Yeah, excellent. Don't tell him that, but yeah.
He's a wiry little kid, you know.
Yeah.
He makes a great Gollum.
He was a wiry kid 15 years ago. Dave,
it's
about 15 years since you started that?
I started this. It's been about 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I painted a lot of miniatures though, and built a lot of models.
Well, I'm the other way around. I've got loads of models sitting there half built. My friends are saying to me, "You ever going to finish one of these?" So yeah, it's the other. I mean, there's a group of guys there, and we go once a year for Christmas dinner and things like that. And they're all model makers, and they tried to do a thing whereby on WhatsApp, okay, let's do a group build, and they all did it. And I started one, and then I just realized, this tank turret's wrong, And by the time I worked out what was wrong with it, they'd all finished there. So, yeah. So, I'm the other way around.
Yeah,
but,
Jeff.
You should finish that off,
Yeah, I have to finish it off for sure. And probably give it to my son since he posed for it. And then I really want to get back to painting these models. Jeff knows too. I have this giant mastodon in a tar pit with different figures around it. That's resin cast. It's called garage.
Garage kit.
Yeah, garage kits. So I just discovered those. It's probably now been 8 years, but I have done a giant woolly mammoth and woolly rhino, and I do have a ton of kits too. I need to get to, and then Jeff and I sat and built a Pirates of the Caribbean model kits that I had when I was a kid that they reissued. And that was fun, right, Jeff? We got to talk and be chilling and just modeling instead of producing a show or gaming ASL, But then Jeff did buy some tank kits, and I think that didn't last too long. Is that right, Jeff?
The boxes are in very good shape. I've got about 6 of these. But I was going to ask David about this one. I think I got to get his opinion on this one. Not even sure he knows about this guy.
Oh.
So
well, yeah. I mean,
Jeff's holding up the Ross kit.
You know Bob Ross?
For audio listeners.
Yeah. We actually didn't get him here when you were getting him in the States originally, but he did make an appearance later on. But we had Nancy Kaminsky. Do you remember? Did you ever get her? I think she was American.
No.
And she was something similar. But a lot of people actually, a lot of people learned to paint right enough. She was very similar. I think she was American, but maybe she was only over here. But yeah, that's right.
There are many times when I've watched Bob Ross and I thought, he'll do a beautiful setting in the woods and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've always thought it would be so cool if there was a tank coming down that road, or jeeps and soldiers coming out of the woods or something like that. I thought, boy, this could be something for David Pentland to start doing his TV show.
Actually, I just
thought about
encountered.
that,
I did some kind of Google search for something, and then down at the bottom it had paintings from store-bought commercial landscapes from secondhand stores that you could buy cheap.
Yeah.
And this artist was painting monsters into them.
Oh, right.
And I thought that's what I want to start next.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
Go buy some landscapes and then have a giant monster coming over the mountains or running down the river valley.
Yeah.
Spice them up a little bit.
Clever. Yeah.
I think I'll try that.
Yeah. I might try that myself.
You put a lot of tanks into them. Suddenly you got to.
Oh, it'd be very popular. Yeah. So David, when did you start getting in then to gaming to do the art for games, and how many games have you done?
Art for games. So I think it started with MMP. Started with the gamers and MMP before they joined together, and it was by chance. I was doing work for Kurt, and then I don't know how I got to talk to the gamers, but anyway, it was coincidental, and both guys wanted me to do artwork for them. So I was doing box art for the gamers for their OSC and SAS and TCS series, and then I was doing the ASL and for I think it was all ASL I did for Kurt. Well, Kurt, actually, what happened was he said, "Look, I want to buy some paintings, and then I want to use them for the box covers."
Oh, this is Kurt Schilling.
Yeah, Kurt Schilling.
Okay.
And then he said, "Right, okay, we need some more." And so usually whenever I did it, he took a good few of the originals. So he did, which was really great at the time. It was a real boost, so it was. And and I think I had done some work for some computer game companies. I think just prior to that, but they really weren't. It was a bit hit or miss. They wanted a bit more graphical style. They didn't really want painting, but certainly MMP, seemed to go with the idea. Yeah, we'll use a painting on the cover, and then for the gamers, same thing went. I think I might have had I'm not sure if I had a game from the gamers myself before that. I'd actually bought a game of theirs, or when they approached me first. But certainly I do remember when I got the games anyway, I really liked the gamers games, and I used to play the I think what was the first one? Probably Frozen Hell, or what was the first ones we would have done for them? Going back, I remember the first one I did. I think for MMP would have been the ASL Polish one, which is the Doom Battalions, was it? I think, and the Warsaw one, and that was actually that was a tough one because trying to get the information and get a decent cover, get a decent composition with the tank and the field of Warsaw. So it was quite a lot of actually architecture in the background on that one. That was a bit harder work than some of the other ones. But yeah, I mean, it just sort of fed on from there. So as they brought out modules, then I was doing covers for them, and then they used it on some of the annuals as well. They used some of the illustrations.
Jeff, yours is on the other side of you. Doom Battalions, I think. Is that it down there?
Yeah.
I was just looking for mine over there too.
Yeah, I was there it is. Thank you.
I knew he was looking for it.
Thanks, Dave. I don't know what I'd do without you.
That's it, though. Yeah. I always get mixed up whether it was called Doom with the Hungarian one. I can't remember what that was called. That was I quite like that cover.
That tank is different. It's got the 2 turrets on it.
Yeah, well, actually, I made a model of that one, and it's still sitting unpainted. It's built and finished and primed, and I still haven't painted it.
But then you could still use it to look to draw.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't need to paint it. I didn't need to actually paint it up to do that. It's actually sometimes better just to get the basic tones, so you can. But
that is cool.
Well, here's a question too. Often they cut the paintings down when they put them onto the box cover.
Yeah.
And it changes the composition. Does that ever bother you?
Well, no, because the thing was, I would normally want to do, a landscape sort of. Sometimes it's portrait, where it's like a sort of like the box cover you're actually getting, but usually a painting, something like this, I like to do as a 2x3 proportion sort of landscape. So it might be 2 foot by 3 foot or 20 by 30 inch, something like that. But what I would do when I'm doing the layout, I would draw out the section that they can use for their cover. And that would show them, or they can move the area about a bit, show them what section they can take. But I would actually extend the actual originals is built to be wider, and then I would allow them to have a section that they could extract from that, if they wanted. But some of the later ASL ones were actually long. I think the Bridge Too Far and the Guadalcanal one were done, they used that format. Then they used the sort of landscape format for the boxes. Oh no, Guadalcanal wasn't, but the Bridge Too Far was, yeah. Tarawa, Tarawa was you used that. Just use the format of the.
This is one of my favorite.
Yeah. That's a great one.
It is my favorite cover.
Cover, all right, okay.
Of all the boxes. Yeah.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
It's just you've got all the different figures in there, and they're all
love it.
To choose the moment where they're all huddled together on there when they hit the beach and get under fire, and then the different guys and the different poses in there is all really, really nice. And then historical accuracy, they did have camo stuff in certain places.
Yeah. That was the first time. I think that was the first time. I mean, to be fair, that one was actually, I had a series of photographs and I used bits of them, of the actual landing for the layout for that one. But the Marines were all wearing the camo on the hats, on the helmets at the time. I think some of them, just after that was probably the first time, that was in use. The Marines were using it. So yeah, you've got to get all the details right. That's true, because there's a lot of people will pick up on it pretty quick if there's any. Especially, well, considering the fact the audience is people playing ASL, so they tend to know their stuff, so.
Yeah, and I like the way you have the palm tree in the corner for framing device on the right side, so the eye of the viewer doesn't go off the right side; it bounces back into the picture. Yeah, that palm tree there, yeah, and the spouts of water are just really cool.
Yeah, thanks. Excellent.
Yeah. Really cool. So on your Bridge Too Far one, was that like the whole composition?
Yeah, I think it probably.
That's the horizontal one.
Yeah, and it was the guys were all. It was on the bridge itself. The guys were all lined up along the bottom. The what do you call them? Frost Battalion guys. So they're overlooking the bridge. That was a difficult one because part of the problem was you wanted to see the bridge, but you didn't want to see the back of the guy's head, so I had to turn them around, and it was maybe a bit difficult to try and get a good angle, for that. Yeah,
because then you can put in the human side of it with getting the faces in, but no, it's super cool. And then the fact that they're up on the wall, they're up on the buildings, because in the game the bridge goes down and the city buildings are up high. So that I would use that to explain to my friend while we're gaming. Dave Timonen, he's like, well, wait a minute, what level is this house on? How can you see the bridge? And I'm like, well, look here at the cover. You can see the guys are all putting fire down up high on the bridge. So we have to remember we got those kind of levels going. Yeah, that's the painting there. And I love the red berets, of course.
Yeah, me too. Love that.
The thing about that one was it was been David Shepard had done a really good one, and then there's stills from the bridge that were really good, so I didn't want to copy them, because it would be too obvious. So trying to get a different angle was a tough one on that. Yeah. But although some people have come up subsequently with some good angles. I mean, I've had it probably even. Well, I think I had to go with the paratroops on it, because some people have had nice shots of Tiger tanks down below the bridge. Nice paintings done that way, which would have been good. But I don't think I could have got away with that one. It was by the British Paras, So.
Yeah, and those were all painted acrylic.
Those were actually done in oils, so they were. They're alkyds. Well, it's alkyds is like a faster drying oil. Instead of taking 2 or 3 days for it to dry, it'll dry in 1 day. But it's not as fast as acrylics. That's the only difference. So, but it's the same as using oils. Yeah.
Oh, and what's the name of it?
Alkyds, ALKYDS.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, I mean, yeah, because I started with oils back when I was really painting in art school, and doing my other paintings that are better than this one. But yeah, drying forever. You could just go in and reblend it or scrape it off and try it again, and it was pretty cool.
It's good if you what the difference is when you're doing commercial sort of jobs, you don't want to be spending 2 or 3 days waiting for a coat to dry. So with the alkyd, it's dry in a day and you can start the next coat the next day. But then it depends on what sort of stuff. I work quite thin. Some people work really thick on pastel, and then it would be just the same as oils virtually, if they're laying it on with a trowel, But I'm just doing quite thin coats, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and then I moved away from like trying to be an illustrator, realizing that I'm not going to be able to probably end up being one with my skill level. And I started doing more in the Chicago Images style of paintings with a lot of symbolism, and a lot of mine were all these Cold War, fear of the Cold War stuff, growing up in the Cold War, what that was like. And so they were much more, so then the acrylics worked better for those because there was a lot more flatter imagery stuff and symbols and so on. Than the illustration type stuff. But my painting instructor, I remember he kind of said, if you guys are going to paint your whole lives, think about all the turpentine, all the smells, all the chemicals when you're dealing with oils. Yeah. That you're going to surround yourselves with your whole lives. And I don't know if there's, he didn't say it causes cancer, but you're breathing it in the studio.
Exactly. And it is part of the reason there, I think I stopped using, it's one of the reasons I stopped using oils probably as much, and I went on the acrylics. But even acrylics, probably there's an issue. But that's why I've sort of toned that down, and I'm now basically doing a lot of digital as well as the actual painting.
Yeah, is there a particular program for digital in case I ever do decide?
I mean, it depends if I use a tablet. I mean, this is just a Wacom tablet, and basically it doesn't have any images on it. You just draw on this like a board, and then you see it on your screen. But the other way to do it is with an iPad or a Syntac pad, which is actually, you're actually seeing. So I can't show you because I'm on the iPad here, but you're actually seeing the image on that, and you're drawing straight onto the image. So, so if you're using an ordinary tablet, an ordinary sort of monitor or whatever, then you would use something like Photoshop or something like that would be fine, or Painter's, Coral Painter is good as well. But if you're using an iPad, then I would use Procreate. It's a lovely little package. It's really fantastic, and you can do a lot of stuff, a lot of fantastic things with it. And there's another one called Affinity, which you can use on the computer. It's like an equivalent to Photoshop, which is I'm trying to get change over to it because it's really good as well. But they're really like photographic. The Photoshop is photographic and illustration, or whereas Procreate is purely drawing. You're really just doing a drawing and painting package. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of really good ones out there, and they're not. That's not expensive. Photoshop is, but I don't. That's why I was trying to get away from it.
Yeah.
Good
Especially
advice.
now with the subscription and all that stuff.
It's crazy. And then people lose all the stuff, and you don't own it, So, so it is. But, I learned it. So, it's hard to, when you know something, it's hard to get away from it sometimes,
Was Photoshop the Apple product?
No, Adobe.
Adobe,
yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
right.
Sort of, that's why this other company, Affinity, have sort of really made a big inroad. And I think it's about £30, probably about $35 or something for one of their packages, and you get designer, the same sort of range that Photoshop or Adobe have. They've got like a photo one and a designer one and a publisher one. So they're really cheap and they're really good, really really good.
Wow.
So.
Looks like you've got something over your left shoulder there. Is that a piece that you have finished recently?
Yeah.
No, that's framed.
Yeah, that's one that I've done. This is one I did earlier. It was for. Let's see. Maybe pull over. Let's see it better.
Sure.
Just a second. So got it. You can see it there.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
So it was for Plastic Soldier Company. So they do model kits, 72nd, 15 mil one. They do like a range of, they bring out one subject and maybe do it in a couple of scales. So this was a Star. It's the same vehicle, but it's 2 variants just on it. So and it's like A3 size. So it's done on canvas, acrylics on canvas.
Okay.
So I quite enjoy doing those because they're reasonably, handy size to work at, and you can get a nice level of detail. So you can. So that's
very nice.
Yeah. I don't have much actually here. Most of the stuff's in the garage there, in the studio. Here's one here. Might be interesting. It's a bit different. So it is.
Oh yes.
So
very nice.
Oh,
So,
look at that.
There you go.
We
So
just
this was,
started this.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We just started the Star Wars role-playing game with
Oh,
our
right.
friend Mike, so we're all into that. That's cool.
Yeah, very nice.
And
Who are you doing that for?
Well, there's a couple of his. The guy in Cranston, he was approached by Lucas to do a book. He wanted to do a book with different artists doing Star Wars subjects. So he asked would be interested in submitting. So myself and another chap, Ivan Barryman, and Jason Askew, I think we all submitted 3 or 4 images, and they liked them, and they commissioned some more. So I think I did 4 or 5 for them, for Lucas, and then that was a one I did for myself just to see if they would be interested, and it was actually what do they call them? They're not storm. I've forgotten what the name of them is now. They were like the sort of special secrets commandos, and but that was just purely for myself, really. I thought they might be interested, but they didn't go for that one. But I kept it for myself. But yeah, the other ones they used in the book, they brought a book out, which was like a series about, must have been about 50 different artists, had all done a few each in it. So, but the people they picked weren't people who were doing science fiction necessarily. They used there's a lovely Spanish portrait artist, and he did a fantastic painting of like one of the monster in the pit with the girl and stuff, So it was always sort of asking other artists, their spin on the Star Wars, So it was a lovely opportunity to try to do something different, So most of mine were all military.
I like how the palette. So when you're painting too, even the military stuff, it's more okay. So for that painting, the palette's clearly the blues, right, and the grays.
Yeah.
You don't have any other color in there, which makes it seem really cool, like it's in a special place, and But then for the military ones, do you try to do the same kind of thing, like with the backgrounds? Avoid.
Yeah. I mean, so you would sort of give it a color theme, maybe, So maybe you want to. I mean, I did one. Was it the Panther at the Zoo, which was the kindergarten at the end of the war? So it was mainly a lot of grays, background fog, misty, sort of try to get, but throw a bit of color in, maybe just with the camo uniforms of the guys in the front and on the tank,
Yeah, that's the historical accuracy.
So yeah, you do want to get a sort of like a tone, sort of maybe feel through the thing, You don't want everything to be like a sunny blue sky and nice bright summery colors necessarily, Although maybe sometimes a summer day shot, yes, that's fine. Like the Russian front or something on a good day. And maybe do that.
When they're relaxing, maybe around the tank, having tea time, as Jeff likes to have.
Yeah.
Well, I have a very important question here, David. How can you be an artist and not have, and maybe you do, but I want to know, where are the naked ladies?
The naked ladies? I tell you.
Like
she's next door. She's next door.
She's next door.
Life and figure study. That's what I had in college.
Yeah.
Drawing from live models.
Yeah.
It was actually a thing. I don't know if they still do that.
Oh yeah. Some places do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. No, one of my friends, he was a solicitor, a lawyer, and he's just retired there recently, and he's a good artist and a musician. But he took himself off to do a life study class a couple of years ago there, and
I did it for a year, and you quickly get into, and then he had us doing these quick poses too. It's like
Yeah.
Just he'd say freeze, and then he's trying to break you down from the rigid realism and into the spirit of the gesture. They call it gesture drawing. You know, the arm. Boom,
I think it's good, you know. I maybe need to do that actually. I maybe do need to loosen up sometimes and do some different, you know. Yeah, I think there's plenty of things I'd love to do, and I mean, look, in a way, COVID's been great for me from the point of view of gaming, because it's given me a chance to play. I mean, I would have had guys I would have gone once a month to play in the War Game Club, and I would have had a couple of friends over, maybe we would play a game, but it's all been knocked on the head. So it's given me a chance to play online with my brother. He's in London, and play online with another friend in England as well. And you know, so it's nice to be able to do the things you know you're sort of saying, oh, I'll have to do it one day. So I've had a chance this last year to play quite a few games actually. So it's been, you know, I think it is good to make time to do the things you really want to do. Yeah. So I do enjoy painting, but there's other things. The gaming's good, you know.
Yeah.
So yes.
Are there at this point? Do somebody ever come to you with a job that you just don't want to do? You just turn it down, say it's not my thing, or I'm.
Yeah, it's not often, because usually they probably know, you know, before they ask. But yeah, I mean, I think it's probably happened there that people have said, and I've sort of put them, maybe steered them in the direction to somebody better, you know, because if I did it, you know, it would be hard work, you know, to try and do it. But in saying that, I've taken on jobs recently. I took a job on for a friend's son. He did a round the world sailing race, and he actually got a medal for saving a, you know, sort of guy out in the middle of the Southern Ocean. But I did a painting of his yacht that he was on for him, and I got a couple of other commissions from his friends because they were on cruise. So it's not something I would have normally done or even thought about, but it was a nice opportunity to do something a bit different. But it was more a personal, you know, just you know, personal job that, you know, somebody by word of mouth. But I took that on because I didn't think it was a problem. I think I could do it. I could get the information and so forth and do it. But yes, there are some jobs there. For instance, one of my friends, Ivan Barryman, he's fantastic, you know, sort of military artist, but his stuff would be First World War aircraft, naval, well, modern naval, but also Napoleonic. I love Napoleonic Navy, and I love the Langton ships and stuff, and, you know, trying to rig them. But I mean, to do a painting of a Napoleonic battle, like the Battle of the Nile or something, I mean, it's just, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't do it. There's just too much information that I don't know. But he's perfect. So I mean, he could do one like in record time. I would still be thinking about it. He'd have it finished, and it's phenomenal, you know. But so yeah, I mean, something like that, I would be happy to pass it on to somebody who's more able, you know. I think sometimes you got to admit that, you know, you can't do everything, you know. So some things are beyond you, you know. So,
yeah, I had a friend in college, right out of college, want me to paint his pets, a lassie dog and two cats, I think, and I put them together into a composition, and I was amazed. They came out really, really good. Like I would look at it and go, I can't believe I actually did that. And then another friend wanted me to paint their family homestead, and it was the architectural, the lines, everything straight. I just was not. It was not for me. Yeah. So yeah. I love tanks, and I have done tanks in some of my still life paintings, because I actually did put some models into still lifes.
Oh, right, yeah.
With a globe, was trying to kind of get a little bit of a message in there about war and boundaries and countries and conflict. And so I wonder where those are. I think my mom has one in the basement. But so I did enjoy it, but boy, getting the you know, just it seems more architectural, and that's not my thing. Yeah. Really.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've done pet portraits for friends as well. But yeah, I suppose architectural ones I would probably be less inclined to do, you know. It's a totally different, you know, ball game, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
So if people want to get one of your prints, how do we go about that? I know you have a davidpentland.com site.
Yeah, actually, it's down at the minute. I've lost the server went, so it did. So I have to rebuild I have to do a new website.
No, I see it. I'm on it.
So it's probably just from before. Oh well,
Oh,
it could be the Cranston one. There's one through Dave Higgins at Cranston. But if you buy off Dave, well, I don't get the money. so
I
if
was
you want to
gonna,
approach, yeah.
I was gonna ask that too.
Yeah. But if I'm on Facebook, so probably at the minute best bet's to go to Facebook. So if you go to David Pentland Art on Facebook, and you'll get I've got a personal page, and I've got a military page, and I've got a sort of fine art page, So I'll send you the details, and you can
Send us
Oh,
all the
great.
links you
Yeah.
want us to
Yeah,
link, and
yeah.
you can just order prints, or they can order
Yeah.
originals or take commissions.
Yeah, the whole lot. Yeah. I mean, most of the prints would be mostly in stock. As for the originals, well, I'd have to check and see what's available. A lot of them have gone, but and I forget which ones have. So
Yeah.
So
You've done a lot of paintings over
done a
your
few,
lifetime. How many have you done? Have you ever
I have no
cataloged
idea.
numbers?
I don't know. I started counting one day and I gave up. Just so I haven't put together a catalog for years. So I mean, the book probably is only a fraction of it. What's in the book, and there's about 100 in it, I think.
That's a lot of tanks.
So,
And that was the book. And is that still available? Of course.
yeah, I've sold some copies left. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the history of tanks. Which started World War
1917 through to we did that a few years ago for the anniversary of the tank. It was something I always wanted to do, and just in fact I had it lined up. Stackpole Books were going to do a series of paintings, books on the paintings, but it fell through when the guy moved on. And then I think a year or so later, my friend, he would do the photography for my paintings, and he kept it on at me to come on, let's do it. So we decided to do a Kickstarter, and it was good. So it was. But I'd like to hopefully do another one sometime. Maybe Panzers, I think.
We promoted that with what? I'm sorry.
Maybe the next one, probably if I do another one, it would be Panzers. I think we'll do just one on Panzers, because I've got a lot of those, so we'd use them.
And there's a lot of different kinds of those.
Yeah. So,
Well, Dave and I are going to pose and get a picture of ourselves and send it to you, and maybe you can work it into one of your upcoming. Yeah, the next project for Squad Leader.
At the minute, I'm doing a lot of work for Warlord games, which are, again, it's box covers for the kits. So I'm doing a lot of aircraft. They've got Blood Red Skies.
Yeah, wait. Warlord is
Warlord. It's a British company. They do they do a variety. They do naval, Napoleonic naval. They do Second World War naval.
And they do miniature games.
Yeah. They do.
Hail Caesar.
Ancients. Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesars are ancient. I was thinking of trying those out.
Yeah.
Bolt action is
both action. Yeah. They do
World War II.
So they have a massive range of figures, and tanks and stuff as well. The artist they have actually doing the tanks is he's very, very, very good. The guy Peter Noon, he's brilliant. So they wrote me in to do the aircraft. So I've been spending the last year or two. I was doing a lot of aircraft for them. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah,
I'll send some stuff through to show you what.
Yeah, share a bunch of links. We'll put them all up.
Yeah, we'll do.
Because Warlord Games is all over Games Plus, Jeff, over there.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. So, well, all right. Anything else, Jeff or David, that you guys want
to? Well, I would like to put out a big thank you to ASL for because without them we wouldn't have Vassal, and it just suddenly dawned on me the other day, where it all came from, and pretty amazing that what it's become now, And the other thing was, I will actually have to get my brother to play an ASL game. So we've been playing everything else, so it's worth doing it,
Yeah, so. Jeff and I switched over, of course, and we all did to the Vassal ASL. It was really great.
Yeah.
Jeff and I will meet later tonight if we're still on, Jeff.
Yeah.
Just a couple hours of get the game in, don't have to set it up and all that.
Mm-hmm. We actually adopted at Christmas time. We did a what do you call it, a campaign, paper campaign, but we used the maps from the old ASL, and we used old school tactical, and grafted on rules from the battle group figure game for morale, and it was really great crack, so it was really funny. So it was so it sort of like there was like an interlocking campaign of different sort of battles with Piper moving forward, and the Americans throwing. I was the Americans, got creamed every time. It was terrible. So it was really bad. But it was good fun. I mean, especially one or two of the battles were in fog, and you could only see 2 hexes in front of you, and it was amazing. Like, it was, and the fog would lift, and so it was good. It's good fun.
That makes it fun. Yeah.
So we had a good fun there. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot is. I think the last time I played was Squad Leader. Was the last. I didn't actually play much ASL, and we used to play the first Squad Leader, Crescendo of Doom, and the first back. 4. Yeah, way back. And
you don't look old enough to have played those, but
thanks very much. Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, lads.
Well, all right.
Thank you very, very much for taking the time. We appreciate it so much, and we're looking forward to getting those links and stuff from you. We'll pass those along, and you'll just be inundated with.
I just like your artwork, David.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, very nice.
Straight up history.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll end on a high note.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So thanks again, and hope you have a great rest of your year, and we'll look forward to talking to you in the future, perhaps.
Will do, lads. Yeah. Thanks very much.
Right.
And thanks for having me. Okay.
Yeah. Take care then.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, David.
All the best. Bye-bye.
That was David Pentland, the man with no nudes.
No nudes is good nudes, Jeff.
I guess so. Probably so in this day and age, and at this point in time, probably is. Great guy though, really nice.
Yeah, really, really fun to talk and learn all the little insights and get one of his prints. I'm going to have to add one to the collection. We went with no wall space, but down here.
Did you pick up any art tips from him, Dave?
Just gets inspired to do more things that I don't quite have time to do.
Yeah, that's an issue. Well, it's good. I'm glad he's out there doing the good work. So, and it's good to see you as always. So I guess we'll wrap up.
We'll be gaming later than tonight.
Yes, we will.
And Mando Day tomorrow.
That's right.
That's why I'm not getting any painting done.
Yeah. All this time with human people. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you later, Dave. And,
okay.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Indeed, everybody. So remember then, roll low
and rally well,
but not when you're playing us. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
We got to work on that. It's always like a little.
Maybe here, do it
we
again.
Need to practice. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Remember to roll low
and rally well,
but not when you're
playing when you're one on us. Wait a minute.
You did that on purpose.